This episode is brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis. By Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology, and by Fitzdares. Good morning, everyone. It's day 4. It's Friday the 20th of June. A little haze over the Ascot skyline at present, but that masks a bright sun that's about to poke through and bathe us once again in a warm glow on day 4 of Royal Ascot. Standing alongside Rishi Persad and David Yates. Indeed, you may well whistle, Rishi, because this is a treat for me. How's your week been so far?
I've loved every minute of being here at Ascot. Been long days for some of us, but I have really enjoyed the racing. Ultimately, we can talk as much as we want about connections, about storylines, about whether racing is popular, whether the crowds are up, whether the ground is... When they start racing, I fall in love with what's happening on the track, and I've been dazzled by the first 3 days. I loved Ombudsman, I loved Field of Gold, and I thought William Buick rode a perfect race in the Gold Cup on Trawlham.
But David, it's 5-all at the moment between Ballydoyle and John and Thady Gosden. But would it be fair to say that whilst Aidan has kind of chiselled his way to 5, the Gosdens have added a bit of stardust to this meeting?
Completely. It's not really 5-all, is it? I mean, obviously it is 5-all, but three juvenile Group 2s for Ballydoyle, 3 feature races of each day for John Gosden. We've got to call the St James's Palace the feature race of Tuesday.
Yeah,
but
I think so. It still is.
And then the Prince of Wales' Stakes and the Gold Cup yesterday. I agree with everything Rishi has just said. The thing that I've really loved about this week, and I've said this before, there's no such thing as a bad FIFA World Cup, right? But you can have Italia 90, and you can have USA 94, right? You can. Bad times, terrible
for
final.
those younger viewers, for those watching on YouTube potentially, as you have been during the course of this week, England didn't qualify for USA 94 and made a memorable semi-final in Italia 90.
Painful.
Gazza's tears, all that, the penalty heartbreak against West Germany as it was. A bad final, but still a dramatic one. USA 94, bad TV times, had to watch at 2 in the morning, and again, terrible final in the Pasadena Rose Bowl, where afterwards
Diana Ross missed the penalty.
Right. She did miss the penalty, not in an actual game.
But the ball hit the back of the net. The nets did bulge.
They did, but they split actually because the post fell apart. So
you enjoying this?
So you can have better World Cups than others. And it's the same with racing festivals, isn't it? Yeah. But this week, for me, thus far, has been more Italia 90 than USA 94. Just one thing.
Yes.
Gosden, Wednesday, there's nothing so brilliant in flat racing as an explosive horse on the round mile at Ascot. When you see one of them travelling and you think, stand back, mate, that's going to go off in a minute. And he does. But... So they had the best horse with Field of Gold. But in the last 2 days, we've seen Cambridge graduate Gosden mastermind how to affect the outcome of a horse race tactically. Right? We may or may not have the best horse. Ombudsman may well be the best horse. He's only been beaten once. But, they're going to make that strong for LA. We're going to sit right at the back, and when we concertina in the straight, William, you're going to look for the gaps, and you're going to scoot clear. Yesterday, you're going to go boom, boom, boom. Let's make it a strong gallop, because those fancy 4-year-olds that are coming in here, well, they better stay if they want to win. And that's what he did. Absolutely brilliant.
I'm so glad that this is in vision as well. If you're only listening to that, please do go back and watch it on YouTube, because if you don't, you'll miss a treat. I want to pick up more on this tactical point from yesterday's Gold Cup. But first I want to hear from the protagonists, because Luca Brooks-Edwards caught up with John Gosden, and first of all, William Buick.
Will, you've ridden your first Gold Cup winner. Just talk me through how that feels.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels amazing. He came so close last year behind the great Caprios, so I knew I had the right horse this year, and John and Thady had him in ship shape. He had a lovely comeback run from Dubai in the Henry II at Sandown, so I was just really wanting to get it right, for everybody, and he was superb today. He was in a lovely rhythm, kept building the whole way, and he's got a huge engine, huge capacity, and he's got a constitution like no other horse.
And the race just panned out perfectly for you today, didn't
like
it?
I said, he's a real rhythm horse, and when you get into that last half mile, he comes into his own. That's when the good and the great stays get separated over that distance.
I think he should be aimed at coming back next year, and he shouldn't be over-raced at all in between time. So you've asked the most pertinent questions. Don't be surprised if you don't see him again until the Henry II next year. That could be a reality. I've discussed it with Sheikh Mohammed, but he doesn't need to be going to all these races. No.
So that, in other words, that sort of Cup summer is not.
He might come back in the autumn. He's won that. We might go for that and then put him away. So maybe even one more race. I don't want to be boring.
All right, that was John Gosden there, and I'm delighted that he recognised that Luca's question was the most pertinent question in the entire press huddle. Yes, he's absolutely spot on. Let's just pick up on that tactical point out of the Gold Cup. What did you make of Sweet William and the role that he played in the race?
I liked the two, obviously it's after the event, but I liked the two Gosden horses for the race.
You thought they might finish first and second?
I thought they'll finish first and second. I thought Trawlerman would go forward, and I thought it would be the old tactic of one would go forward, one would sit out the back. So when Trawlerman went out front, perfect. When Sweet William sat second, I thought, hang on a second, that's not what I would want for Sweet William. I'd prefer him to be slightly further back. But I was happy enough because, of course, last year, if you watch the Gold Cup, he's too far back when Kyprios and Trawlerman go away from him, and he makes his ground in, but he can't get any closer than 3 or 4 lengths. So I thought, okay, well, maybe that might work. But then when Illinois starts making his move up on the outside as they head towards home.
Well, initially, of course, Illinois is on the inside and Sweet William's on the outside.
Sweet William goes forward to make sure that he has to come
round him. Yeah.
And then as he makes his move, the determination in Rab Havlin's body language was what struck me. You've watched millions of races through your years, and I just felt Rab Havlin's desperation to keep that position in second and force Illinois out wide suggested that this was thought through.
Did
in detail beforehand.
Have John and Thady Gosden out Aiden'd Aiden? And do you think Aiden wishes he'd had more than one runner in the race?
I think possibly. I think maybe in hindsight, I don't think it would have mattered. I personally don't think Illinois saw the trip out quite as well as Trawlerman anyway. But I spoke to Aiden after the race, and his instinct was, having trained Illinois for the Coronation Cup, that training him or switching his
he hadn't
plan,
got quite that kind of copper
Yates,
bottom
Kyprios
condition into him.
Age of Aquarius, etc. Whatever else has won the Gold Cup for him. Yeah, he hadn't quite filled them with the lung bursting capacity they needed for a 2.5 mile stretch at Ascot.
All right, well, should we get the take of Adam Mills? Here he is from Total Performance Data.
Winning time of 4 minutes 15 seconds .02 made Trawlerman the fastest Gold Cup winner in the last 20 years. He's gone 3.21 seconds faster than he did last year. No Kyprios this year, and he's proved his class on this field. Interesting to see that he ran the fastest individual furlong for 9 of the 20 despite making all the running, and each of the last 7 furlongs was sub 13 seconds. The others simply couldn't live with that pace. Sweet William lost 3.02 seconds to him over the last half a mile. Illinois lost 0.73 seconds, and the key was when Trawlerman kicked, he was able to maintain his stride length all the way up the straight, an average of 7.21 metres all the way in those final 2 furlongs. That was too much for Illinois. His peak average stride length was 25.39 feet. For comparison, Illinois was only 24.64. Aidan O'Brien has said he wants to train Illinois differently. They'll have another go at Goodwood, but on this evidence, it's going to take an incredible performance to reverse this. Trawlerman's got his Gold Cup, and he's produced a superstar performance to do so.
Thank you to Adam and for all his contributions this week. They've been excellent. And what about the figure? What about the figure Timeform have put on Trawlerman's performance? Was this a career best at the age of 7? Here's Dan Barber.
Duly chastened by the cutting Sartor review of day one's outfit. Olive green is out, pyjama grey is in, as we reflect on the Gold Cup yesterday. And what a great spectacle it was. Really everything you want the Gold Cup to be. the heir apparent, the potential super sub, Illinois, in the absence of the now retired stablemate Kyprios, doing all he could, but in vain ultimately, to Trollman, a horse who's been a thorn in the side of Kyprios, the last horse to beat him going back to that long distance cup in 2023, gaining a deserved Gold Cup, and in the process clocking a Timeform figure of 127, which has been bettered in recent times on bare form only by Subjectivist, going back to his performance. And also in terms of winning margin, the longest in this race, Bar Stradivarius, he won by 10 lengths in 2020. This entire century, it reminded me very much of a decade or so ago in the jumps game, Richard Johnson taking full advantage of the retirement of AP McCoy. He gained a deserved first success in the jumps jockey's title in Britain. Trollman yesterday was the Richard Johnson, but whether he goes on to dominate the scene for the next few years as Johnson did is obviously open to doubt, given the fact he's a 7-year-old, and the likes of Illinois, with that bit more conditioning behind them in overstaying distances, might prove a more formidable opponent in the future. But 127 the rating, just a pound behind that Kyprios retired with.
There you go then, Trawlerman. What a performance it was. The third Group 1 of the week for John and Thady Gosden. I know our official milliner to the NLD is a massive devotee of the Gosden Yard. She'll have been very happy as she was out and about for us yesterday. Of course, it's good morning to Lisa Tan.
It's the start of day 3 and I finally managed to pin down Jane Mangan, who is no stranger to the Nick Clark Daily podcast, for an interview, but we're going to talk fashion, Jane.
I know, that's putting me out of my comfort zone, Lisa. You can ask me whatever you want about horses, but fashion, whew, Royal Ascot's a stretch for me.
It is 5 days. It is a long week. As a presenter who is on course and has to look good every day, where do you start planning?
It's pressure. I won't lie. I admit it's a visual medium and everybody wants to look glam. And it's empowering to get a few compliments as you walk into the track. So I rely heavily on friends, you, who kits me out with hats for the week. Basically, I try and source the best dresses or the best pantsuits in this situation. What I'm particularly wearing today was made to size by a Wexford woman, Julie Caulfield. I drove down to her studio. She took my measurements. She asked me what color scheme I wanted. I gave her this. She had something similar, so we went with this design, and it fits like a glove. And I'm really, really happy to be wearing an Irish designer here.
Absolutely.
Combined with a crown for Gold Cup Day from Lisa Tan.
There's a bit of a story behind this crown, though. Should we tell them?
There is. You tell me.
I can start and you can finish.
Okay.
It was originally designed for another race course that I won't mention, as part of a charity initiative for brain tumour research. And I designed it, created it, sold it. All the proceeds went to brain tumour research. And it was purchased by
Thea Gosden.
Thea Gosden.
Our good friend. We must name check her.
We must name check
her. Who is also integral in getting me looking respectable on television. So
she's integral in getting everyone looking respectable, including me and also her lovely mother, Rachel.
Yeah. Between the pair of you, I wouldn't be allowed on screen if I didn't look good. So, and I really appreciate that, because I know my horses, but my natural habitat is rural Ireland, jeans and runners. So this is very much out of my comfort zone, but there is no doubt I do feel better and more confident in myself when I know I look good.
Yeah.
And I feel like this week I've got it good.
Do you enjoy it, dressing up?
Not particularly. I went to Lisa Redmond, a good friend of yours, to get some dresses as well for this week, and she said, do you enjoy this aspect of your job? And I was like, not really. But I understand and appreciate that I'm really lucky to get to do what I do, so don't do it half-heartedly. And it's the one week of the year where you really have to go big or go home. There's one thing about Ascot: you can underdress, you can never really overdress.
That's true. That's very, very true. We should talk about the racing very quickly.
Yeah.
Rest of the week, best bet. Well, who are you looking forward to seeing run? Now that we've had the big guns out of the way, still got a few big races to go.
Yeah, we do.
Coronation Stakes, perhaps?
Really looking forward to seeing Falakea in the Coronation. I was really taken by what she did in the Pretty Polly at Newmarket. Her meeting Zarigana is quite the matchup.
Absolutely.
Shadow of Light, a horse that deserves way more attention than he's garnering, dropping back to 6 furlongs. He's last year's champion 2-year-old. I'm really excited to see what he can do. Of course, John Quill also dropping back in trip. And Friday, what have we even got on Friday? My head is... I'm literally living day to day. I haven't looked at Saturday yet. The the Irish have had a good week so far. It's been a team Gosden this week, hasn't it? It's hard to get away from that. Yeah. He's a little bit like Willie Mullins when he comes here. He just kind of gets to his peak. Yeah. So anyway, look, it's been a fabulous week. Obviously, there's been a lot of narrative about the weather and being warm and being hot and yada, yada, yada. But to be honest, I ran out of Epsom 10, 12 days ago because of the rain. I'll take this every day.
Well, our very own Jane Mangan there with Lisa Tan yesterday. Jane looking pretty spectacular yesterday afternoon, Rishi.
I remember somebody working for Channel 4 back in the day saying that, I think it was John Frankham, said in the sunshine, we all look 8 to 10 pounds better in the handicap. But there are some people who just have a natural ability to rise above the norm. Jane's one of those.
And the gentleman on your right, of course, who is resplendent today. I love your cane.
Trusty cane.
It's brilliant. That's an antique, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it is. It came with one of the hats that I bought. And
it's probably worth a few quid.
I don't know. Couldn't sell it. My wife told me to put it in the bin. I did the absolute opposite and bring it to Ascot every day.
You do cut quite an Edwardian dash striding down Ascot High Street.
I love the trusty cane, and it's also, you could, if there were any would-be assailants, you can brandish.
Would that be your pose?
Yeah.
Wow.
Any slightly loose ne'er-do-wells at the end of the day who might seek to just knock that shiny topper off your pompous head.
No need for verbal intercourse.
Just head. You just head.
Again, make sure you tune into YouTube. If you're just listening to this in the car on the way to the races, many of you have this week, proof of concept, then do make sure you tune into YouTube. Quick other highlight from yesterday before we move on. Either whether best ride, talking point. I'll throw one at you. Ridiculous draw advantage in those last two straight course races. If you weren't drawn 26 or up, you had no chance.
I think it's fair, in fairness, the ground description at the start of yesterday by saying it was, I think, 8.9, stand side 8.7, far side 8.5, sort of lent everyone into think. I backed a couple of horses pre finding that information out on the far side and just watched them fizzle away.
Highlight of yesterday, it certainly wasn't my tipping, which was a disaster. It was the fact that the two extremes of the theological debate both had their day, in that the creationists were on the mark with Garden of Eden in the Ribblesdale, and the evolutionary theorists struck first with
Charles Darwin. You are so good. So did that go in the? Was that one for mirror? That can't have gone in the mirror today.
It did go in the mirror.
Well, almost felt like you are.
I said to this. There was a note at the top of my copy. Said, "Please take this out only if you absolutely have to." I haven't checked, but I didn't get an email back saying we took it out. So there'll be trouble.
Did the AI editor then leave it in? Absolutely brilliant.
Not quite at the same level of intellect, but I was certainly struck by Said bin Suroor's day yesterday, as much as, I mean, not just here at Ascot, but I think he had 6 runners, 3 winners, 2 seconds and a third across the country.
I mean, we'll talk about the Commonwealth Cup in a minute, because this is Charlie Appleby's chance to shine, but it's not going to have been lost on him that Godolphin have struck back with 3 winners this week. 2 of them have been trained by the Gosdens, and they hardly have any horses for Godolphin, and one's been trained by Said.
Yeah, but do you think Charlie Appleby would be bothered at all by all this?
I
can't. I mean, everyone's talked about it. You know, we on ITV have spoken about how Charlie Appleby hasn't win here for 3 years, and notable speech and ruling court on the first day. I don't think he's bothered by that at all, and I don't think he should be either. He's had a fabulous year already. He's won, a couple of classics, and I think this is the best chance of the week for them.
Just, do you remember like the brilliant Australian cricket team? Obviously you do, over a decade and a bit ago. Their bowling attack, like if it wasn't McGrath or Gillespie doing you, it was Paul Rifle, or if it wasn't Shane, he took 5 at Headingley. If it was,
well, it was Brett Lee, wasn't it?
Or it could be Brett Lee, or it could be obviously Shane Warne or McGill. Like the point I'm trying to make for Godolphin is that if you're not making it swing, the guy at the other end will do. And so Appleby's won 2 guineas. He's sort of done he's opened and he's taken out the openers, hasn't he? And then we get to Ascot. Okay, he's not been in the winners' enclosure, but the others have come up with the goods. And it reminds me of that. Maybe that was a bad analogy, but
no, it's just a disappointing one that he chose Australia
and not the great West Indies team. And if Holding wasn't doing you, then Roberts would be. And if Roberts wasn't doing you, Garner would be. And if Garner wasn't Marshall.
I mean, there's so many that didn't even get into the team. Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Patrick Patterson.
Oh,
They say he was the best if he hadn't
Vicious.
been so injured.
Vicious.
Is that true? Would he have been the best if he wasn't injured all the time?
no, I'd say Ian Bishop would have been the best if he didn't have a stress fracture. I mean, having mentioned Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh, but Bishop was frighteningly quick and brutal. He had the most beautiful action. So much so that Michael Holding actually was the one who introduced him to Derbyshire to replace him as the next sort of Rolls Royce of the fast bowling.
We mentioned Colin Crop.
You'd certainly you'd never bash the Bishop, would you?
Never bash Bish. And what a lovely chap and commentator he is now.
Excellent. Right, let's head out and hear a little bit more from Lisa.
The future of millinery is in very safe hands thanks to the King's Foundation and the students who are on the first course of the inaugural millinery course sponsored by Chanel and the King. And we have Jamila Ives from the programme. Hi Jamila.
Hi, nice to see you.
Please do tell me about the course.
So the course is 35 weeks. It runs at Highgrove, which is part of the King's Foundation, and it trains up young milliners in millinery. So we take them through all the core stages of developing their practice. It's fully funded by Chanel and supported by Missy Michelle.
And Emily, you're one of the first students from the course. You're also the lucky winner of, I shouldn't say lucky because you're very talented and you deserved it and you've earned it, but the winner of the bursary, which is also sponsored by Ascot Racecourse. Congratulations firstly, but how do you feel?
It's all rather surreal, I must admit. You know, I'm incredibly honoured to receive the award and it will go so far in supporting me into my future career, so I'm so grateful.
Tell me about your work and what you specialise in with millinery.
So I specialise in the heritage craft of straw work, so I plait all of my own straw myself, and it's something that I'm really keen to bring back into modern fashion again as a sustainable material, but also what I think is a really useful material.
And we've got one of your designs right behind us. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
So it is a hand-plaited straw base with raffia woven through. And then it is comprised of many hundreds of individually painted straw splints which are woven into the braid itself.
The amount of work that must have gone into this. We were talking about how many hours was it again?
Oh, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, at least 20, if not more.
Some effort getting that piece together. And this is your first time at Royal Ascot Racecourse?
It is, and we're so privileged to be here. It's really great of Ascot to invite us, so yeah.
What are you hoping to see or do or experience today?
It's amazing actually to see that many hats in one place. So even though we train milliners up, we don't actually see that many hats out day to day. So to be here and see kind of just the broad selection of creativity, colour, skill, craftsmanship is absolutely exceptional.
Hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy your time at Ascot.
All right, thank you to Lisa. Back with Rishi and Dave. And we were going to talk about the Commonwealth Cup. Will this be the moment that Charlie Appleby steps up to the plate courtesy of Shadow of Light?
Yes, I think he's a good thing. I think he's the standout horse in the race. Babouche and Jonquil being in the race adds more spice to it. Obviously, best of luck to your runner as well, Lucky. But I think the 2-year-old that he was, outstanding, Middle Park and Dewhurst winner, doing it in different styles, travelling in behind and quicking up in the Middle Park. And in the Dewhurst, he's beaten his horses in his part of the track, and then he's had to go and get the horses on the far side. Real grit and determination. Mikel Barcelona had never ridden him before, rides him in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket, which I think was the best 2,000 guineas of the three, whether it's the Irish or the French. And I thought he quickened up so well, it caught Mikel Barcelona slightly by surprise how quickly he got to, well, he certainly went past his horses and then got to ruling court and just ran out of steam in the last half a furlong. I think back at 6 furlongs, that's a stiff 6 furlongs, it sort of falls right in his remit, and I think a patient ride, he'll come through and I think he'll win well.
Okay, win well. Confidence, Yates. I thought it was a bit more complex than that.
Yeah, I did actually.
Leah Vanny's a non-runner, by the way.
I know. She was my selection at about sort of 25. She's come out because of the ground, which I find a bit strange. That was one of the reasons I put her in. But as she's not there, this leaves the way clear for Shadow of Light, doesn't it?
I see what you've done there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the most likely winner, the worthy favourite. As I think he's got to do something he hasn't done before. Obviously, win a 6 furlong Group 1 at 3, coming back from a mile, and that asks different questions, but as you say, it's a stiff 6 furlongs and that will help. And yeah, the thing is, if there's a star 6 furlong 3-year-old in this race, I suspect it's him, and now that Leah Van is out, I think he'll probably win.
You don't see it that straightforward for a variety of reasons, not just because you've got a runner in the race.
Well, because I've been following the race ridiculously closely, and we all have who are involved in Lady with the Lamb. I think the one that I groaned most when I found out he was running was Jonquil, because I thought, yeah, he's a bit of a joker in the pack. That was a great run in the French Guineas. He just got outstayed by Henri Matisse, and I'm just not sure. I don't think Field of Gold ran his race, whatever you want to say about the ride. I don't think Field of Gold ran his race in the Guineas. So, judged on what we've seen subsequently, he's looked absolutely different class, extraterrestrial. You sort of wonder how he didn't win it. And win it well. So I think Jonquil is a very, very good horse, and I think he's got that natural exuberance and pace for a stiff 6 furlongs. And the Yard's had 2 winners this week already. He's the one I fear the most. All the action's going to unfold in that little pocket of the track. Those high numbers have all the good horses in, and it'd be interesting to see what Sheen Murphy does on She's So Spicy, because she's the far side and she is very quick. So I don't know, will he come over and they converge?
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing I do know is that I'm very lucky to have any tiny little bit of involvement in a race as prestigious as this, about 100 yards away from where I was born. So it's exciting.
And went to school?
Went to school just over the bottom of Swinley Bottom there.
Yeah, short drive on a pitch.
I know.
Wedge.
Exactly. So it's massively exciting.
Made good. The classic red top story. Let's sit down and chat about this after we've come off air.
As Neil Channing always says, when Lucky and I were striding down the mean streets of Sunningdale together.
Riches to riches.
Lucky very, very much, really, because I've had nothing to do with sourcing this horse. I'm just a passenger, but a very happy one. Kevin Blake, Michael Wilson, Joseph O'Brien and Emma Palmer all take a lot of credit. And Emma had a runner yesterday. She co-owned a horse called Hawksbill with Hugo Palmer, and before racing, Charlotte caught up with her.
Well, here I am, joined on day 3 by Emma Palmer, who is set for a big couple of days, Emma, because you've got your first Royal Ascot winner this afternoon in Hawksbill. It's pretty exciting.
Very exciting. Like, we've been aiming for this for quite a long time. Hoping he's well handicapped, but yeah, there's 30 in it. It's a big old field, and yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
And then stepping up into Group 1 company tomorrow, you've got Lady with the Lamp, who of course you share with Nick, amongst others. She has taken you on quite the journey so far already.
Oh, she's been phenomenal. She came over here for her first run, came 3rd, came back to Bath, won, and she won her listed race. And then we got unlucky in a Group 3 where she got bashed and kind of taken out of it a bit. But then this year it's just been the dream run.
And because what did you guys purchase her from at the sales?
14,000. So yeah, almost the same as the entry fee.
Yeah, exactly. Who'd have thought you'd be back here? What is it? 18 months later or something.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool because of course you've had Cheltenham Festival winner with LeBrule, who was with Ben Pauling. So how different is it being here today or this week and thinking, are the nerves the same?
Yeah, it's quite nice because this time on the flat I'm sharing it with people, so that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off. But it's both would be phenomenal. Like, I was sort of mucking out Bruley this morning and I was having a little chat with him and saying, we're off to Ascot, and yeah, like, it's been a lucky track for me with the jump, so hopefully it can transfer to the flat.
And what was the thinking behind sort of moving into the flat ownership? Did somebody sort of approach you and say,
no, I kind of, I just love racing, and with the jumpers you're busy over the winter and then it's like downtime, and I kind of wanted something to fill the downtime, and my interest has grown and grown, probably a bit more than my husband knows. But now I'm into the breeding, I'm into the racing, both disciplines, and I just love it.
Emma Palmer, there's nothing I'd love more than to see Emma walking into the winner's enclosure this afternoon here at Royal Ascot. What are our friends at Fitzdares saying? Here's Orlando in the trading room.
Yeah, hi Nick. The feature race of the day is the Coronation Stakes for the fillies, but we're actually going to look at the Commonwealth Cup, the other Group 1 of the day at 3:05. Seems to be more popular with the punters, more of a betting race. I think, dare I say it, higher quality race. We've got top of the market, Shadow of Light 2-1, and then we've got Babouche 9-2, Jonquil 7-1. Anti-post wise took a load on Shadow of Light. 3rd place in the Guineas. A lot of people like that run. Been quite easy to support now. Open up about 6-4, 13-8. Now backable at 2-1. Going the other way, Babouche getting a bit backed. Group 1 winning 2-year-old. Good return this year, beating Whistle Jacket. So that's now also going back for us. So both those results aren't fantastic. We're looking towards the Jubmont 2nd string, Jonquil, who finished a very close 2nd in the French Guineas to get us out of trouble there. Just lost to Henry Matisse in that race, and that form has slightly been franked from earlier in the week. So hopefully he'll be the one for us. Boost-wise, we're going to boost Shadow of Light to win by over a length. Was 7-2, now 4-1. Just following the market there. Looks quite weak, so willing to take him on. Thanks so much, Nick. All the best.
So, Orlando in the trading room at Fitzdares, thank you so much. And the Coronation Stakes, it's a cracking race and intriguing because you've got the one coming in from left field in Falakea, Dave, to take on the established classic form such as it is. Where are you leaning?
I'm leaning with Falakea. The slight worry is that low-grade bug that ruled her out of the Prix de Diane last weekend. I really hope that she doesn't underperform and they say afterwards, yeah, maybe she just wasn't quite, But she was explosive when she won the Pretty Polly Stakes over 10. Watching that race live, she just sort of sauntered clear, didn't she? After about with half a mile to go, and all the others. No, it's a listed race, and obviously she steps up to Group 1 level here, but. She had to be sort of driven out over the last furlong because she was tiring a bit, and I talking about explosive milers on the round course here at Ascot. I think she could be one of those. Zaragoza is really interesting because I spoke to Francis Graffard must have been on Wednesday when the decks came out, because we always do something like a news little slot in the paper about the Group 1 of 2 days hence, and I said, you worried about the ground? It's really quick there, and she's been on a slower surface for the rest of her career. And he said, no, not really. I think she's fine, but she's a bit of a madam. And I said, what are you more worried then about the sort of brouhaha of 60,000 racegoers on a Friday at Ascot? And he clearly was, and that's a real test for her.
She's definitely got a quirk or two, for sure.
I'd be worried about Falakea's exuberance at Newmarket, which is part of the reason why she won in the style that you already allude to. She was sort of hitting the line in a disappointing manner for the way she showed that class in the early part of the race. But she was so exuberant, and I'd be concerned. I mean, Duty First made the running in the Fred Darling. If she were to go forward and press Falakea, what's going to happen? I do think she's a very talented filly, Falakea, but I'm worried about how the race is going to set up. Zaragoza would be the one, but I think there's a filly in the race that I think might be potentially quite useful.
Okay.
Shanty Lace. I like
for Rafe Beckett. He's been quiet this week, hasn't he?
He has been quiet. But she ran a promising race in the Guineas where I don't think she handled the dip whatsoever. She's quite a tall filly, and when you can almost, again, if you want to watch it and you do visually have a look at how she comes down the hill, she's almost backing away as she's coming down the hill at Newmarket. And then when they start meeting the rising ground, she starts picking up again, and she's not beaten that far. She's a couple of lengths behind, 2.5 lengths behind Desert Flower. I think she's double figure price. I'd prefer to have a go with her each way.
All right. And there's one other man who might have a say in this, aside from Aidan O'Brien, of course, and that is Ollie Sangster, who's double-handed with his second and third in the 1,000 Guineas, and at the Goffs London sale on Monday night I caught up with him. Big week for you, of course, with your 2-star fillies out again, Flight and Simmering. How are they doing?
Yeah, good, very good. Everything's been smooth since Ireland, so we're looking forward to it, yep.
Fantastic. And of course, Ireland didn't quite go their way. Newmarket was brilliant. What is it about this week's race that makes you think we can go back to Newmarket?
Look, we're just hopeful of a stronger pace this week. Ground and everything should suit. I think the track will suit. Look, it's hard to be confident, but we're just hopeful they can return to their form they showed in Newmarket.
More on our fifth and final day tomorrow. David Yates and Rishi Persad. That draws things to a close. Thank you both very much for getting up so early to come and join me here in the pre-parade ring.
Lucky, it's been my absolute pleasure to stand in between two of the finest gentlemen on the racecourse.
And I'm wishing Nelson a speedy recovery.
Oh yeah, no, tough night last night.
This is Nelson, your dog.
Nelson, severed an artery in the back garden yesterday.
But he's all right.
I hope so. I left home at about 2 o'clock this morning, and he was okay. There was still a little bit of blood where the vet had reattached his artery together, and anyway.
Oh my word.
He's okay. I hope he's all right. He's a lovely dog.
We're all dog people here, so yes, understand that. How did he do it?
Playing, just fetching a ball in the back garden, but late at night. So.
Right, well, fingers crossed for Nelson.
Yeah.
Have you got a tip for me?
I am hoping that we're going to see a potential star of the future today. I'm one of the most exciting horses running here this week, I think, is Zaran. Johnny Murtaugh's Zaran. He's got a lovely pedigree. He is very green, or he was very green when he ran last time out in that listed race in Ireland at Leopardstown. But he produced one of the most sizzling, sensational performances for a thrice raced individual. I think he could be very, very
Not
good.
bad news for you.
No,
I've tipped him.
good man. Do you not think we could be sitting on
I do,
on
to be
something
honest.
special?
I've got
I do.
even worse news for you. I tipped him as well. Oh, God.
Are we all going down together then, are we?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yates, have you got another one for me?
Yeah, Falakea. Sorry to be boring, but I sort of, maybe it's heart as much as head, but I just really hope she's really good, and I think she potentially will be.
And after the debacle of Matt Chapman telling you that Los Angeles was the bet of the century the day before yesterday, all hail Charlotte Greenway, who told you that Trawlerman was a good thing for the Gold Cup. We know how it works. David Yates, Rishi, thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, or I hope watching on YouTube. And we will see you again for Royal Ascot Day 5. That's Friday done. You've been listening to Nick Luck Daily. This episode has been brought to you in association with Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis, by Total Performance Data, the world leader in thoroughbred performance technology, and by Fitzdares.